Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Chapter 86.
Sun Quan, he's the ruler of Wu. He's just managed to defend against a big invasion from Wei, the northern superpower under Cao Pai. He's feeling pretty good, declares a new era name, Huang Wu.
A moment of strength, then.
Exactly. But that strength actually makes him a target for diplomacy. Wei thinks, maybe we can use Wu against their neighbor, Shu.
Ooh, the classic enemy of my enemy play.
Precisely. Wei sends an envoy with a very tempting offer. They propose a huge four-pronged attack against Shu, coordinated.
And the prize for Wu?
Half of Shu's territory if the attack succeeds. It's a massive carrot dangled right in front of Sun Quan.
That's a difficult offer to refuse. Shu and Wu were allies, technically, but it was often shaky, right? Why not just take the deal?
That's the central tension. Sun Quan is definitely tempted. He calls in his top strategist, Lu Xun. Lu Xun is incredibly powerful at this point, Grand Marshal Marquis of Jiangling. His advice is crucial.
So what does Lu Xun say? Go for it.
No, not exactly. This is where Lu Xun's genius for risk management comes in. He advises Sun Quan to pretend to agree, say yes to Wei, keep them happy, avoid making them an immediate enemy.
Okay, but don't actually attack.
Right. Hold back the troops. Lu Xun's logic is basically, let's wait and see. If Wei's 4 attacks actually manage to crush Shu, then Wu can jump in and claim its share. Easy win.
But if they fail?
If they fail, Wu hasn't committed anything. They haven't burned that bridge with Shu unnecessarily. It's about keeping options open, minimizing downside. A very cautious, calculated move.
And it turned out to be incredibly prescient, because those 4 attacks, they didn't go well for Wei, did they?
Not at all. They completely fell apart. It was almost comical how badly they failed.
Really? What happened?
Well, take the western prong. The tribal forces Wei was counting on. They apparently just turned around and went home when they heard Ma Chao, one of Shu's most famous generals, was guarding the passes. His reputation alone was enough.
Wow. Psychological warfare.
Absolutely. Then, down south, you had Meng Huo leading other tribal groups. Wei Yan, another Shu general, used this classic feigned retreat tactic, the doubtful troop strategy, drew them in and smashed them.
So that's 2 prongs gone. What about the others?
Well, one of Wei's key commanders, Meng Da, he just got sick mid-campaign, had to withdraw his forces.
Just bad luck for Wei there.
It seems like it. And the main central thrust, led by Cao Zhen himself, completely blocked by Zhao Zilong, another legendary Shu hero. He held these crucial, narrow passes. It really proved that old saying, one general guards the pass, 10,000 men cannot break through.
So Shu held firm on all fronts. Sun Quan must have breathed a huge sigh of relief.
Oh, absolutely. The text says he praised Lu Xun as a true divine calculator. He'd saved Wu from making a terrible enemy of Shu for absolutely nothing.
The immediate threat is gone, but the underlying distrust between Wu and Shu, that's still there, isn't it? The alliance isn't really solid yet.
Exactly. It's still just theoretical. So Shu decides to send an envoy to Wu to properly cement the alliance. And they send a man named Deng Ji.
Deng Ji. Now, I remember reading he doesn't exactly get a warm welcome initially.
Not at all. Sun Quan's own chief advisor, a guy named Zhang Zhao, is deeply skeptical. He tells Sun Quan, look, this Deng Ji, he's just a parlor guest, a smooth talker sent by Zhu Liang to stall us.
A parlor guest basically saying he's all talk, no substance.
Right. And Zhang Zhao suggests a truly brutal way to test Deng Zi's conviction.
This is the part with the cauldron, isn't it?
It is. It's pure psychological theater. Following Zhang Zhao's advice, Sun Quan orders this huge bronze cauldron to be set up right in the main hall. It's filled with hundreds of pounds of oil.
And they heat it up.
They get it boiling right there. A cauldron of boiling oil as the centerpiece for a diplomatic meeting.
That's intense.
And that's not all. To even get to the hall, Deng Zi has to walk this gauntlet. 1,000 of Wu's toughest soldiers lining the path from the palace gate right up to the throne, all armed, steel knives, axes, halberds.
Just imagine walking through that. Pure intimidation. How did Deng Zi react? Did he flinch?
According to the story, he walked through those ranks, saw the boiling cauldron, and showed absolutely no fear. Just a slight smile.
Nerves of steel. But then he does something even bolder, right? When he reaches Sun Quan.
He does. He refuses to perform the full kowtow, the formal bow.
He refuses to bow to the ruler of Wu.
Isn't that incredibly insulting? Dangerous. Extremely. But it was a calculated move. Deng Ji declares, an envoy from a superior nation does not bow to the lord of a small state.
Whoa. Calling Shu the superior nation right to Sun Quan's face.
Yes. He's immediately flipping the script. If he bows, He accepts Wu's superiority, or at least equality framed by Wu. By refusing, he asserts Shu's standing, demanding respect, setting the stage for an alliance between equals, maybe even with Shu subtly positioned as the senior partner.
Sun Quan must have been furious.
Absolutely livid. He threatens Deng Zhi right then and there, threatens to have him thrown into the boiling oil, comparing him to a past envoy who met a gruesome end.
And Deng Zhi's response?
He laughs. He basically calls Sun Quan out, asking if his capacity and tolerance are so small he can't even handle an envoy's directness.
Turning the tables again. Incredible nerve.
And then he immediately pivots to the core strategic argument. He lays out the stark choice for Sun Quan. You can ally with Shu, form a lips and teeth defense, he calls it, mutually dependent for survival against Wei. Or you can submit to Wei. And Deng Zhi paints a very grim picture of what submission means.
What's the catch with submitting to Wei?
It's a death trap. Deng Zhi argues, first, Wei will demand Sun Quan's son, the prince, as a hostage. Standard practice to ensure loyalty.
Okay, a political cost.
But then, once they have the hostage, what's to stop Wei from invading Wu anyway? Deng Zhi predicts they will invade, probably coordinating with Shu, attacking from the west. Wu gets crushed between them. Alliance with Shu, he argues, is the only path to survival.
The logic seems sound, but Sun Quan is still furious, still testing him.
Right. The argument is strong, but Deng Zhi needs to prove his personal conviction. So he does something extraordinary.
This is the moment.
He dramatically moves towards the boiling cauldron, declaring he's going to jump in himself. To die right there to prove he's not just some parlor guest, but a man of absolute, unwavering sincerity.
He actually moves to jump into boiling oil.
That's what the text says. He moves to do it to dispel the name of a mere talker.
That changes everything. The willingness to die for it.
Exactly. That act of ultimate conviction is more persuasive than any threat or promise. Sun Quan immediately orders his guards to stop him. He clears the hall, the soldiers, the cauldron, everything. He treats Deng Zhi as an honored guest, an equal.
And the alliance is basically sealed at that point.
Sealed by sheer force of will and Deng Zhi's incredible courage, the psychological test was passed.
An amazing story of diplomatic bravery. But it doesn't quite end there, does it? Because Wu now feels a bit inadequate.
That's right. Sun Quan remarks that Wu, despite ruling, 81 provinces, doesn't seem to have a diplomat with Deng Zhi's caliber, which prompts a Wu official, Zhang Wen, to volunteer.
Zhong, what's his deal?
He's pretty arrogant, actually. He says something like, Zun Zhiliang is just a man, why should I fear him? He volunteers to travel back to Shu with Deng Zhi as Wu's envoy.
Okay, so now we get the perspective from inside Shu, and this leads to Zhu Zhiliang revealing his real long-term strategy.
Exactly. This visit by Zhang Wen gives us a glimpse into Zhu Zhiliang's grand plan, which he outlines privately to Liu Shan, the young emperor of Shu, the latter ruler.
This is where it gets really interesting, strategically speaking. What's the plan?
It's a multi-stage strategy for ultimate victory, not just survival. Step 1. Solidify the Wu-Shu alliance. Keep things stable on that front.
Okay, makes sense. What's step 2?
Step 2. Pacify the southern barbarians, the tribes on Shu's southern border, led by Meng Hu, who we mentioned earlier. Basically, secure the flank, remove that distraction.
Right, consolidate the base, then what?
Step 3. Focus all resources on conquering Wei, the main enemy.
Okay, standard enough, defeat the biggest threat. But you mentioned a twist, a kicker.
Yes, the real strategic depth, and maybe ruthlessness, is in the unspoken step 4. Zhu Zhiliang calculates that once Wei is defeated or significantly weakened, Wu, their current ally, won't be able to survive long on its own either.
Ah, so the alliance is just temporary.
It's a necessary means to an end. The ultimate goal is for Shu to unify the entire empire. Wu is a partner for now, but the long-term vision sees them absorbed after Wei is dealt with.
Wow, that's cold. Using an ally like that.
It's the reality of power politics in that era, perhaps. But while this long game is being planned, Zhang Wen, the arrogant Wu envoy, arrives in Shu.
And he doesn't make a good impression, I take it.
No, he acts very proudly at the welcoming feast, kind of dismissive of the Shu officials.
Which sets the stage for another kind of battle, and an intellectual one.
Exactly. His arrogance basically invites a challenge. And it comes from Qin Mi, an academician from Yizhou.
Qin Mi, how does he enter the picture?
Dramatically. He apparently shows up late to the feast, possibly drunk, sits down without any formality. It's a deliberate slight to Zhang Wen.
So disrespect answered with disrespect.
Pretty much. Zhang Wen, annoyed, basically challenges Qin Mi, asking him if he's actually learned anything worthwhile. Qin fires back that he knows everything from astronomy above to geography below.
A bold claim, which leads to Zhang Wen testing him.
Yes, with a series of famous questions about heaven. These are great examples of using classical knowledge for rhetorical sparring.
Like what? Give us a taste.
Okay, so Zhang Wen asks, does heaven have a head? Qin says, yes, it's in the west, and quotes a line from the classic book of Odes to prove it.
Clever. Using the established texts.
Exactly. Then, does heaven have ears? Yes, Qin says, citing another line from the Odes. The crane cries, its sound is heard by heaven. Does heaven have feet? Yes, citing heaven's path is difficult.
He's got an answer for everything, backed by scripture, essentially.
And the final punch. Does heaven have a surname? Qin says yes. Liu. Why? Because the current emperor of Shu, the son of heaven, is from the Liu family. It's a brilliant political point wrapped in classical allusion.
Untouchable arguments, really. Zhang Wen must be getting frustrated.
He is, but Qin isn't finished. He turns the tables and asks Zhang Wen a question, a real philosophical trap.
What does he ask?
He asks, okay, if heaven is supposed to be light and clear and float up, and earth is heavy and turbid and sinks down, then why, according to legend, when Gonggong struck Mount Buzu, did heaven tilt to the northwest and earth sink to the southeast? It contradicts the basic principles.
Ooh, that's tricky, using mythology against physics.
Exactly. And he adds another layer. What is beyond the light, clear essence that constitutes heaven? He's pushing into cosmology and metaphysics.
How does Zhang Wen respond?
He's utterly stumped, speechless. He has no answer. He's forced to apologize to the whole assembly, acknowledging the depth of talent in Shu.
A complete intellectual victory for Shu. It really reinforces their strength, not just militarily, but culturally and intellectually.
Absolutely. It sends a clear message back to Wu. So the diplomatic ground is now fully prepared. Deng Zhi returns to Wu one last time to finalize the alliance terms.
And Sun Quan has one final test for him, right? A political question.
Yes, a very loaded one. Sun Quan asks, okay, let's say we do it. Wu and Shu together defeat Wei. Peace is achieved. Should we then divide the empire between our two rulers?
That's putting Deng Zhi on the spot. How can he answer that without undermining Shu's ultimate goal or insulting Sun Quan now?
It's the final hurdle. Deng Zhi gives a masterful, principled answer. He says firmly, heaven has no two sons, the people no two kings.
No division. One ultimate ruler.
Exactly. But he frames it virtuously. He says both rulers should focus now on cultivating virtue, inspiring loyalty. If they do that, conflict will naturally cease. He upholds the principle of eventual unity without explicitly threatening Wu.
Very smooth. How does Sun Quan take it?
He praises Deng Zhi's honesty and sincerity. Your sincerity is truly like this, he says. And with that, the Wu-Shu alliance is finally formally cemented. Some ICNO-friendly relations established.
Wu and Shu patching things up, making a formal alliance. Cao Pai saw that and, well, he panicked a bit, thought they were teaming up to take him out.
Understandable fear, maybe, but his reaction was disproportionate.
You could say that. He went all in.
How big this invasion was meant to be.
Okay, the number that gets thrown around is huge. Something like 300,000 troops. Land and water forces combined.
300,000. And it wasn't just manpower, was it? They built an incredible fleet for this.
Oh, absolutely. The sources mention these 10 gigantic dragon boats. I think 20 zhang long.
Yeah.
What's that in modern terms? Like 60 meters.
Yeah.
Almost 200 feet.
Huge. And they could supposedly carry over 2,000 people each.
And then add another, 3,000 smaller warships.
It's mind-boggling. It's like trying to move a small city across the Yangtze River.
Exactly. And that tells you, I think, two key things. One, Cao Pai was serious. He wanted this to be the decisive blow against Wu.
Finish him off in one go.
Right. But two, imagine the logistics. Trying to supply and coordinate that. It must have been a nightmare waiting to happen. A very fragile operation, really.
Which actually brings us to the debate within Wei. Not everyone thought this was a brilliant idea, did they?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
You had advisors like Jinpai. He was making a much more cautious case.
What was his argument?
Basically, stability first. He argued Wei needed 10 years to focus internally, rebuild agriculture, the Tunshin system.
Those military farming colonies, right? To get the population and food production back up after all the wars.
Precisely. The Central Plains were still pretty devastated. Wide land and sparse population, as the sources put it. Shinpi was saying, look, get our house in order before launching this massive, risky campaign.
Sensible advice.
Sounds like it. But Cao Pai wasn't having it. He basically called Shinpai's ideas pedantic theory, academic nonsense.
So ambition and maybe fear overruled prudence. He pushed ahead. And the plan, advised by Sima Yi, I believe, was a naval one.
Yes, Sima Yi helped shape the strategy, though he stayed behind to manage things in Zhushang. The idea was to go via the Kai and Ying rivers, then down the Huai River towards Guangling.
And from Guangling, the goal was to cross the big river, the Jiangku, the mouth of the Yangtze.
Yeah, cross the river, take Nansu, and that puts them right on the doorstep of Wu's capital, Jianye, a direct strike at the heart.
And he didn't skimp on commanders either. This was the A-team.
Oh, absolutely. You had Cao Zhen leading the vanguard and backing him up. Zhang Liao, Zheng He, Wen Pin, Xu Huang. These are some of Wei's most famous and experienced generals.
So this was it. A massive all-in gamble led by the best they had.
Okay, so news of this colossal force heading their way hits Wu. What's the reaction?
Predictably, panic. Sun Quan's first instinct, quite smartly, was to use that new alliance.
Call in Shu for help.
Exactly. Gu Yang advised him to write to Zhu Zhiliang immediately. Ask him to launch an attack from Hansong, create a diversion, force Cao Pai to split his forces, or, ideally, call the whole thing off.
Makes sense. Play the strategic game.
Yeah.
But they still needed someone to actually face this invasion force on the river.
Right. And the man chosen for that job was Zhu Sheng. He was made Andong general, given command of the forces at Jianye and Nansu, the key defensive points.
And Zhu Sheng, he didn't just accept the command. He made a pretty bold promise to Sun Quan, didn't he?
Incredibly bold. He basically said, if Cao Pai manages to cross the river, I'll capture him. If he doesn't, I'll destroy so much of his army that Wei won't dare look south again for years.
Wow. That's confidence. Yeah. Or maybe bluff?
A bit of both, perhaps, but almost immediately he runs into trouble. Not from Wei, but from inside his own camp.
The internal politics. Who was it?
Sun Quan's own nephew, Sun Shao. Apparently, Sun Shao knew the terrain around Guangling really well, and he argued passionately against just sitting back and waiting.
What did he want to do?
He wanted to attack first, take the fight to Wei, cross the river into Huaina or Guangling preemptively. He was convinced that waiting passively was just inviting defeat against such a huge force.
So a classic strategic dilemma. Aggressive preemptive strike versus patient defense.
Exactly. And Xu Sheng was firmly in the patient camp. He insisted Wei was too strong for a head-on clash in their territory. He told everyone to wait on the south bank, saying, and this is a great line, I have my own plan to defeat them. Trust me, basically.
That sounds like a recipe for friction.
Oh, it was. Big time. It got so bad that Xu Sheng apparently threatened to execute Sun Shao for insubordination.
Really? Execute the ruler's nephew?
Almost. Sun Quan had to step in personally, reminding Xu Sheng of Sun Shao's past service and, well, the family connection. So Shao was spared.
But did he listen?
Nope, not at all. He was so convinced he was right and maybe felt slighted that he took matters into his own hands. That very night, he secretly led his 3,000 troops across the river anyway, went rogue.
That could have been disastrous, undermining the whole defensive strategy.
It could have. But this is where you see Xu Sheng's cool head, maybe his foresight. Instead of just chasing Sun Shao down or letting him get slaughtered, he immediately sent Ding Feng after him.
With more troops?
Yeah, another 3,000. But crucially, Ding Feng was given a secret plan. The idea wasn't just to reinforce Shao, but probably to channel his aggression. Make sure if he did fight, it was on Xu Sheng's terms, likely setting up an ambush rather than a foolish frontal assault.
Clever. Turning a potential disaster into part of a larger controlled strategy. Zhu Sheng is sticking to his low-cost, high-impact approach.
Exactly. Patience and planning, even when dealing with his own side's impulsiveness.
Okay, so the scene is set. Xu Sheng's waiting, dealing with internal issues, and then Cao Pai arrives at Guangling on the north bank.
Right. And the initial reports must have seemed great for Wei. Scouts look across the river. Nothing. The Wu side looks deserted. No camps, no flags, no sign of defense.
Which plays right into Cao Pai's arrogance, you'd imagine.
Totally. He feels so confident he sails his massive flagship, that huge dragon boat, right up close to the riverbank. A real display of power.
And then night falls. The Wei camp, we're told, is lit up like a city. Torches, lamps everywhere, just projecting immense strength and confidence.
Meanwhile, the Wu side. Pitch black. Utter darkness. Reinforcing the idea that they've either fled or are simply insignificant. Cao Pai must have gone to sleep thinking victory was just a river crossing away.
But then comes the wild card. The weather. Dawn breaks, but it brings this incredibly thick fog. Blankets everything.
You can't see a thing across the river. Creates this real sense of suspense, maybe unease. They wait for hours in this fog, apparently Cao Pai getting quite restless.
And then finally the wind picks up. The fog starts to lift.
And the view is stunning. Shocking, even. Instead of an empty shoreline, Cao Pai and his entire army see the seemingly endless line of fortifications.
Yeah, the sources describe it as connected cities, stretching for miles, hundreds of li. From Nansu almost to Stone City, complete with walls, watchtowers, banners flying, weapons glinting, troops lining the ramparts.
It looks like an impregnable fortress system that somehow sprang up overnight.
An impossible feat of engineering. And that's the genius of Xu Sheng's plan, the aha moment, as you called it.
It wasn't real.
Not at all. It was pure illusion. Xu Sheng had his men gather huge quantities of reeds. They bundled them up to look like human figures.
Dressed them up.
Yeah, dressed them in simple blue clothes, gave them flags to hold, and then they placed these reed soldiers on top of quickly constructed walls and towers, likely just frames or mounds of earth, maybe covered with mats. It was all fake.
A Potemkin village on a massive military scale.
Exactly. A brilliant, low-cost psychological masterstroke. The impact on the Wei soldiers was immediate.
Terrified.
Utterly. They'd been expecting an easy crossing against a fleeing enemy. Now, emerging from the fog is this seemingly magical, endless fortress manned by countless troops. Their morale just evaporates.
And Cao Pai himself.
His confidence shatters. The sources quote him as saying something like, "With defenders like these, the people of Jianyan are too formidable to plot against."
Wow. An emperor leading maybe 300,000 men, completely psyched out by some strategically placed bundles of reeds.
The power of perception. Xu Sheng didn't need to build a real wall. He just needed Cao Pai to believe there was one.
So Cao Pai's will is broken by this illusion, but the situation gets even worse for Wei, doesn't it? It's like everything starts to unravel at once.
Yeah, it's a cascade of failure. First, nature intervenes again. Just as they're reeling from the psychological blow, a massive storm hits the river.
Seriously, more bad weather.
Yep, huge waves start crashing over the dragon boat, soaks Cao Pai's imperial robes, threatens to actually capsize this enormous vessel. He goes from emperor surveying his conquest to nearly drowning.
Quite the reversal of fortune.
Wen Pin apparently had to rescue him onto a smaller, more stable boat, just adds to the panic and disarray.
And then, while they're literally bailing water and dealing with phantom fortifications, the other shoe drops.
Exactly. News arrives. The Shu diversion has happened. Zhao Yun has marched out of Yangping Pass and is heading towards Chengyan, the old capital deep in Wei territory.
So Sun Quan's request to Zhuge Liang worked.
Perfectly. Now, Cao Pai isn't just facing a surprisingly strong defense in bad weather. He's got a potential crisis back home.
That seals it then. He has to pull back.
Immediately. He orders a full retreat. But it's not orderly. It's panicked.
Yeah.
And a panicked retreat against a prepared enemy. Well, that's dangerous.
And Xu Sheng was prepared, wasn't he? This is where the earlier moves pay off.
Absolutely. As the Wei forces are scrambling back upriver, trying to get into the Wai River to escape, Sun Shao, the nephew who crossed early, finally gets his moment.
The ambush Xu Sheng planned for him.
Seems like it. He hits the retreating Wei columns hard, causes chaos, significant losses, lots of soldiers drown trying to get away.
And it gets worse for the Wei flagship, the dragon boat.
Much worse. Remember Ding Feng and his secret plan. As the remnants of the fleet, including the dragon boat, enter the Wai River, Ding Feng springs his trap.
What was it?
Fire. His troops had apparently laid out long lines of reeds along the riverbanks, soaked them in oil beforehand. When the Wei ships came alongside.
Oosh.
Exactly. They lit the reeds, the wind catches the flames, drives them towards the ships. The flagship is engulfed. Total chaos.
Does Cao Pai escape the burning ship?
Barely. He makes it to the shore, but guess who's waiting?
Ding Feng again.
Ding Feng's ambush party.
A desperate fight breaks out right there on the riverbank.
And this is where one of Wei's great generals falls, isn't it?
Tragically, yes. Zhang Liao, trying to protect Cao Pai in the melee, is hit by an arrow fired by Ding Feng, right in the waist.
A serious wound.
Fatal, as it turned out. Xu Huang manages to fight off the attackers and get Cao Pai away, but the damage is done. Wei suffers massive losses in men and material during this disastrous retreat.
So the invasion that started with overwhelming force ends in a complete rout, heavy casualties, and the loss of a key general.
All triggered by clever defense and, fundamentally, bundles of reeds. Xu Sheng delivered on his promise. He was heavily rewarded by Sun Quan.
And Zhai Liao.
Made it back to Zhuchang, but died from the arrow wound soon after. A huge blow for Wei, losing such a veteran. The cost of Cao Pai's hubris was immense.